Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, you guys can all hear me. If not, just let me know in the chat. Just want to welcome everyone and say good morning and welcome to our webinar, Copilot Agents in Action. We're really glad you're here. Today, we're going to be diving into how Copilot agents can make us work smoother, smarter, and a lot more efficient, which is what we all want to do. I'm Sonia. I'm the marketing manager here at Advantage Industries, and I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the session. So if you've got questions or thoughts, just drop them in, and then we'll make sure to address them throughout the presentation. Now I'm excited to hand things over to our speaker, Russell Smith, who is, many of you probably already know, is our VCIO and sales engineer here at Advantage Industries. He's got some great live demos lined up for us. So Russell, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Sonia. It's a pleasure as always, and glad to have recognize a bunch of familiar names. So thanks for joining today, folks. Just like our webinar last month, which you can still catch on our YouTube channel if you didn't, we talked about Copilot for Office. So how to use Microsoft's Copilot AI tool in things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Just like last month, today is going to be a very hands-on demonstration. And the things that I'm going to show you today are actually things that you can go ahead and do right after we're done with the webinar if you have a paid Copilot license. There are also some things that we'll talk about that you can do with advancements in terms of taking it a step further. And we're going to wrap up with that at the end of the day. We do have time for questions. The demo is not going to use the full hour. So like Sonia said, please pop your questions into the chat and we will have time to get to them. So without further ado, let's get rolling. So where I want to start first here is Copilot and what's in a name. This is a brand name that Microsoft has. So Microsoft loves throwing names at us. We have Fabric, which is part of their cloud. Azure is the umbrella for all of Microsoft's cloud services. And their brand name for their AI assistants is Copilot. So the equivalent to that is going to be Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. That just happens to be their brand. But even within that brand, there are several different flavors of Copilot, which at least even at Advantage, constantly get us into confusing conversations, and we have to make sure we're talking about the same version. So let's take a minute to look at those, and more importantly, what you use them for. So last month, we covered what you can do with the free unlicensed Copilot, and quite a lot. It is a full interactive chatbot like ChatGPT if you use that. It is accessible through a web. It's copilot.microsoft.com or the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. It can only look at web-based data sources, so that's very critical. It won't look at any of your own documents on the free version. It goes out to the internet and looks for those answers and sources. It's good for individuals. If you're not playing with it now, I would recommend you start testing it out. Doesn't cost anything as long as you are signed in, and we're going to see that in a minute on my screen. As long as you're signed in, your data is being protected, and so you can start playing around, seeing what you can do here. You can drag documents into it, have them analyze, summarize, etc. And free limits on usage, and actions are user triggered. And what I mean is the free version is not going to go off on its own and do things to help your processes or workflows by itself. It is something that the end user needs to go in. You need to drag that document in and then ask the question. Now, the licensed version, which we also looked at last month, builds on this. It looks at the web. It's available in a web or app, or it also includes Microsoft Office integration. We saw last time how you can access Copilot from directly in PowerPoint, for instance. And there's a Copilot button right there. The key difference, and one of the biggest to remember, though, is that the paid version looks at internal documents. So anything that you have in your company SharePoint, it will look at, and anything that user has permission to. So I don't have permission to HR site at my company, means that Copilot will not look for things in the HR site for me, but it will look at every other SharePoint site I have access to. Looks at OneDrive, looks at even your Outlook emails and Teams. The advantage there is that when you're asking a question about how, say, a process is done, and we're going to look at this, I'm not asking the internet, asking how Advantage Industries has defined that process. It's a trustworthy source. It's what we've built already, and we're going to see that today. Paid licenses, we're recommending right now, it's people that are content creators, professionals, like C-suite people that are doing 100 more emails a day. Maybe not for everybody, though. Not all of your staff may benefit from this license, which is $30 a month. If it saves you 10 minutes a day, it's probably worth it, right? Based on people's salaries, but it may not be saving everybody time depending on their job role. And here it's user triggered again, it's interactive with some automation. What we're going to be looking at today is Copilot agents, and they operate, there are ones that you can create right away. There are ones that with a little more sophistication, which they call Copilot Studio, and we'll be running into that at the end of the meeting today. Copilot agents can be interacted with an app, but they're usually interacted through the web. That can be in your company's SharePoint site. So the same way that when you hop on a public-facing website, you'll get that little AI chat assistant that pops up in the corner. Copilot agents can be set to do that for your organization on particular SharePoint sites. So something that can be a little interactive in a particular space. They tend to be referencing specific SharePoint or web locations, and that's one of the things we're going to spend some time on today. So License Copilot is going to look at everything that you have access to. Agents tend to be targeted in a specific site or realm based on a person's job role or responsibilities. It's best for role or domain-specific tasks and workflows. So for instance, there may be an agent for HR onboarding. There could be an agent for the IT help desk or a property management front desk folks. And then cost is less typically. Varies, but if people have a paid license, agents are free. If they don't, if you don't want to buy $30 license for everybody in the organization, and let's say, for instance, it is something to help people who are property managers at a property, they aren't writing a lot of content. They don't need something as sophisticated as help me draft this proposal, but they may have questions about specific policies, property rules, or operations and workflows. So that could be a good use case for them. In that case, most requests are 2 cents a request. And Microsoft basically sells them in packs of $200, and you can buy as many as you need and adjust usage around that. So this is a good way to get sophisticated AI tools that are secure, using company information to all of your staff without buying them very expensive licenses. And we're going to see here today that this is both a thing. This is something that I can start interacting with. There are also full automation options, and that becomes very powerful, obviously. So much easier to show you. So let's get into a little bit of what this is going to actually look like and what you can play around with. Like I said, as soon as we're off the call today. Drop out of my PowerPoint here. And I am going to head into Microsoft 365 Copilot. Just a very quick recap from last time. You may see one or more versions of Copilot. All I needed to do here on a Windows machine was type Copilot into the search box. If you see Microsoft 365 Copilot, go ahead and open that one. If you just see Copilot, go ahead and open that. It's going to make you when you try to sign in with your work account, it's going to open this one for you. So the big thing here I want to make sure is that I see my name in the bottom left. I'm signed in. That means that I'm now behind security fencing. If I have a paid license, it unlocks those features for me as well. On a free one, just make sure I'm working safely. So I do have a paid license, and I can see that here I've got a work tab, which is internal stuff. I've got web, which is external stuff. I also have my little button to use ChatGPT 5, and that's always nice too. So here is where I can start interacting with my chatbot. Because I have a paid license, I have access to create Copilot agents. So if you have a paid license now, again, you can play along here, run through it with me. You can do this right after. If you don't have a paid license, you will need one, or we'll show you how we can set up agents for you. Copilot Studio pay as per request model. So what I'm going to do here is agents, and it's got some demo Microsoft agents, some prompts, researcher and analyst, and these are tooled to, say, drag a document in and customize the answer. That's a little bit subjective. I'll show you what those things look like. And then we have an agent that I created earlier as a demo. And I'm basically going to create a new version of this today. So once I created an agent, I can always find them right here in my Copilot app. You can also publish them to Teams. So you can see them right on the left in Teams, or as I said, we can even do some customization for you so they show up interactive in the SharePoint site. But let's go ahead and create an agent, right? So one of the most common requests that we get in agents that we get asked to create is a little bit of a knowledge or resource base. One of the problems that our industry is having with AI right now is that when AI can't find the answer, it may hallucinate, it may make it up. The other thing is AI may not be as good as you or I are at verifying how trustworthy that source is. So when we talked last time about how AI, you can ask it questions, it will list it. It's always important to check those references, and Copilot gives you very nice numbered references, and you can click on the number right there, go look at that source, make sure it's verified and trustable. But that's a lot of work, right? And you may know that, but maybe your staff isn't thinking about all of that, and maybe they'll just take the first answer the AI gives them. One of the ways you can prevent that, one of the ways you can improve the accuracy of the answers is with a Copilot agent that you have provided curated knowledge to. So what I'm going to do today is build one, and I'm going to do something I know. It makes it easier to demonstrate it. And I'd recommend, if you're playing around with something today, go ahead and start in an area that you're fairly familiar with. You can validate the integrity of the answers and results you get given. So this is a little proof of concept testing. Do that yourself, but we can customize it with anything you want. So I'm going to build an agent around ITIL, which is International Training Learning Institute help desk procedures, because that's something that obviously we know as an IT company. So I want to build an agent that is going to help people with how to run and operate a help desk correctly. So the nice thing is, and this is still one of the things I'm getting used to as somebody in my 40s, is with these AI tools, speak plainly, be direct, and don't narrow your focus too much. So I want to, it's easier to kind of narrow down after you give it the general prompt, but you don't have to worry about thinking like a programmer at this stage. So I'm just going to put in here, I've clicked on create an agent. Notice I'm in a describe tab, and that is the plain English, plain language tab. It actually work with whatever language you're set to, could be plain Spanish. But I'm on describe, and I'm going to say I want an agent to help an IT managed service provider build a world-class help desk with appropriate procedures. So, redirect I want you to know. One is I'm being direct with my request. Here's what I want the agent to do. And then I'm giving it who the audience is. Now here I'm being a little generic. I can be more specific. I could say, and maybe we'll go back and tweak that in a second, but I could say I want it for this specific role type. I want it for tier 1 help desk employees. So it's going to customize the answers versus somebody planning the infrastructure versus somebody trying to operate and live within it. But here's all I'm going to do now. Looks like I spelled procedures wrong. We'll fix that. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and just give it that basic prompt. I'm leaving it purposely open-ended. I'm not narrowing it down too much at this stage because one of the things I've learned working with these AI tools is that you can box yourself out of interesting answers and solutions if you get too narrow at the start. So now it's come back to me. The agent is now set up to help IT managed service providers build a world-class help desk, offering actionable procedures, best practices, and templates for effective support operations. Now, let's choose a name for your agent. I suggest Help Desk Excellence Guide. It's not bad. Let's go ahead and take that. And would you like to use this name or do you have something else in mind? I can either just type Help Desk Excellence Guide or I could say use this name. And I'm just playing conversation. Takes a minute to do that for me. And it's not just renaming it right now, it's also applying some other changes on the back end, and we'll look at those in a moment. The agent is now named Help Desk Excellence Guide. Next, let's refine what Help Desk Excellence Guide will do. Are there specific procedures or areas you want to focus on, such as ticket management, customer communications, or performance metrics? Please share any details or priorities you have in mind. I'm going to say priorities, and notice how it's giving me little suggestions. I don't have to run with those suggestions. I can give it something else, but it's trying to help walk you through the process as gently as you can, and I appreciate that. Prioritize ticket triage, customer, I'm going to say prioritize ticket triage and customer communication. And then I'm going to actually add a little tweak here for tier 1 help desk. That's our base level. I'm going to say for tier 1 help desk staff. So now I'm getting a little more specific. I'm drilling down a little more, which is going to help the agent customize its answers for that audience. So they're not going to come back with a tier 1 person and, hey, you should build this in your department. That's not a junior employee's role. It's going to be more built around here, the procedures you want to follow. Help Desk Excellent Guide is now focused on prioritizing ticket triage and customer communications for Tier 1 help desk staff. The agent will guide staff with actionable steps, templates, and best practices tailored for IT managed service providers. Next, adding knowledge sources is optional, but this is our secret sauce today. If you have any URLs or documents you'd like the agent to use as references, please provide them now. You can also skip this step if you don't want to add any knowledge sources. So if I stop now, if I skip this step, Copilot, and it uses OpenAI in the backend, is going to look out to the internet to find the answers to these things. And most of the time, it's going to be pretty good. But we wanted to remove this issue of untrusted data sources. So this is something you can do with textbooks, manuals, policies, internal documents you've created, documents other people have created. Now, I can type them out here. I find it easier to go to this Configure tab at the top. So I'm going to go to Configure. And what I've got here is some of the stuff that's been happening on the back end as I've been conversing with Copilot. So here's our name. Here's a description. This is anything I can customize this to anything I want. If I'm publishing this to colleagues in my company, this is where I may want to put a description that helps people find it, as opposed to other agents that we've built. And then these are instructions. So this Copilot has built for me based on the conversation we've just been having. And if we look and so if I kind of want to look under the hood a little bit, I can see what it has turned my instructions into on that side. So guide tier one help desk staff in prioritizing, triaging incoming tickets, provide clear actionable steps, offer templates and best practices. So this is a chance where I can really start tweaking it a little more. I could say not even offer, but I could even add a line here to say always provide step-by-step instructions for any procedure. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So now rather than just give me the answer and maybe asking if I want to see a step-by-step guide, I've chosen that this agent should always provide that step-by-step guide automatically. Um, Again, maybe useful for that role. Now here's where we add those verified data sources. What I've done, and the easiest thing to do is you're going to want to put these somewhere in SharePoint. We often recommend as a best practice that maybe we set up a site just for this. But in what I've done here, it doesn't have to be that fancy. I've set up a folder in a site. So let's take a quick look at that. In SharePoint, I'm in my Teams demo site, and we've got our document library here. I can also see this in Teams, of course. And I created a new folder for ITIL, which is that international standard for help desks. And in this folder, I've saved several documents, including Global Best Practice Standard, which is probably the Bible for these things. So this is a 100-page document, which is obviously very dense and really goes through very detailed parts of what are the components of a well-run service desk are and what needs to be set up for that. Again, this is a 100-page document, cross references everything, but this is the #1 trusted source in our industry. So I know that this is very, very good information. So what I did is I went and I downloaded this document and I saved it right into that SharePoint site. And I also grabbed some other things. Atlassian's another big company that does a lot of this. Went and grabbed their documents, Dynamic Quest. So a lot of good organizations with good data on this. And I can add in a lot more than 4, obviously. One of the projects we're looking at with one of our clients would be to add in, they're an engineering firm. So this would be to add in building codes for various jurisdictions. They would go here. Textbooks for, say, water flow calculations would go in here. Now, obviously, any of that stuff, we still want to go back and verify. Remember, AI is not perfect yet. It can still hallucinate a little, but you'll still have those citations, and you can go back and check those specific points in the documents. It will tell you which of your source documents it's pulling from to help you with that. So I've preloaded source documents in SharePoint here that I know are good. And back in the Copilot Studio configure, I'm going to add knowledge. Right here is upload from device. I could actually drag and drop files into here if I was old school. Here I'm going to do attach cloud files. Click on this. And it is going to open up automatically for me OneDrive and SharePoint and any SharePoint sites that I have access to. So here's that Teams demo. I can go into here. I can add everything on that site, or I can be specific. And I think if I'm doing something that's an information database like this, I probably want to be pretty specific. I can add my own documents in, and maybe I want to add our operating system for how we want to handle help desk. I could do that at this point too. So I'm just going to pick that file, back one little click on the radio button, and then I'm going to say select. You notice I can select multiple folders, so I can hop around. For organizational purposes. I recommend keeping it in one, though. It makes it easy to update and add as you need. As you need to do these things, you're just updating documents in one folder with next year's version of the building codes. You're not having to look in 5 places. And so I've done that. You'll notice I see a SharePoint site here. The other thing I want to add is this is the Service Desk Institute prepares the ITIL manual. They're full of, again, industry-leading, industry-vetted resources. They've got a resource library. They've got global best practice standards. So I've got access to a lot of data on their own website themselves. So that's a trusted source, and you can add public-facing websites as trusted sources. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Just paste that URL in, click on the suggested link, and now when this agent will also be looking at not just the documents I provided, but the specific website. There was a limitation, I believe, of 4 websites earlier. I believe they've removed that now. So you can link to specific sites, say, going back to our earlier example, building codes for Prince George's County and the Prince George's County government site. Now, a couple other things on here that you'll see. Code interpreter. You don't want to use that today. That is for programmers. That turns plain language into code. That's something that we may use on our side, but most of you probably won't be. Image generator, I would probably recommend, if you're on the paid Copilot license, go ahead. That's fine. This matters if you're publishing a Copilot agent to people that don't have a license and they're using that pay-as-you-go. The cost for image generation is more expensive because it's more computing power on Microsoft servers. So just getting a verbal prompt, that's 2 cents. I think image generation, it can depend on the type of request. That can be up to 10 cents. So this is a thing that if I'm sending it to a group of people and they don't need image generation, I'm going to leave that off. Then we have this neat thing that's suggested prompts, and that is anything I want. We see this little preview here. These are tips. These are ways to help your staff get started. So let's say I'm preparing an agent with property manager best practices. And it links to our own documentation. It links to our property management software's documentation, and it links to local codes or state codes. So I'm building that out, but I want to give people somewhere to start when they're opening the agent. That new employee that I have. So I'm going to give them a few kind of getting started tips. And that's really what these suggested prompts are. They're ways to help your staff get started using the tool. And you can customize this any way you want. So it's going to automatically suggest things, and they're pretty good ones, right? It's based on, I said, ticket triaging was very important to me, right? So one of the prompts is ticket triage steps, but I can add prompts, I can remove prompts, I can tweak these any way I want. And again, using plain language, something descriptive to help your staff is the way to go. So we've added that content now. I'm going to go back to describe, and I'm going to say skip because I went ahead and manually added the sources anyway. If I wanted to paste in, say that Service Desk Institute website, I could have pasted in that link here. No problem. We'll skip adding additional knowledge sources. Do you have any other modifications you'd like to make to the Help Desk Excellent Guide? If you're satisfied, you can try out the agent in the separate chat dialog to the right, and that's over here. This is a preview window, so you can start testing it before you finish publishing or creating it. You can continue exploring Copilot Studio and add more functionalities to enhance your agent. I'm here to help with any further refinements you'd like to make. So this is what you can do with the paid license writing Copilot. There are other things that we can do for you though. So at this point, I think I'm ready to go. Now, in my experience, this preview window works most of the time. I have seen it before where it is not registered, maybe some new knowledge bases I've added or additional instructions, and it hasn't processed those. So if it isn't behaving quite the way you expect, I actually do recommend going ahead and creating the agent. You can then go back and edit it. But most of the time, this should work here, and we can test it out. I'm going to go ahead and create it though. So you'll notice draft auto saved. It's been doing that as I've been interacting and making changes. I'm going to go create. This will again should take less than a minute. All right, now a couple nifty things. One is I've got a URL that I could embed into website content. So I could insert this into a SharePoint site. There are even ways to do this on external facing websites with appropriate permissions, and our team would need to help you with that. So I've got this code. You probably won't be using that today, but you will see it appear over here. We already see it on the left. I also have sharing settings. So clicking on that a second, I can now publish this tool I've created, and I've got options. It could be anyone in the organization. So I want anybody to have access to this now. Again, if they have a paid Copilot license, they can use this. If they don't, and your organization does not have a Copilot Studio pack, they won't be able to use this. And it will just let them know that. But if they have that paid license, they can use these things. I can also set it to specific people. Maybe I don't want to push it out to anybody, everybody right away, or maybe only a couple people in the organization would actually be using this one. I don't want to throw it up on people's screens or confuse them. So I can put in Phil, for instance, my colleague, and it will actually look through. It's Microsoft. It's integrated with my email, my address book. So it's automatically going to find Phil and add him. So he will be able to use and see this now. He also has a paid license. I can also choose only you. That's what I'm going to do right now. And most of the time, that's how we recommend starting it, because you can always go back and publish it later once you've finished your fine tuning. I'm just going to say go to agent at this point. And you'll notice in Copilot over on the left, I now have Help Desk Excellence Guide. So so it gives me a prompt. What are the best practices for triaging tickets? I'm going to pretend I'm a regular user, and how are tickets triaged? I'm going to have just a very standard type of request. Again, it may take a little minute what Copilot is doing at this point, and I find that these searches usually take a little bit longer the first time you run them. What Copilot is doing, it is reading through hundreds of pages of the PDFs I've uploaded and gathering, summarizing, analyzing that content before it gives me the answer. So the first time, I mean, it took less than 30 seconds, but it's going to take a few seconds. That's okay. So great question. You asked how tickets are triaged, and I've reviewed 3 key documents that outline best practices for ticket triage in IT managed service desk environments. Here's a clear breakdown of how ticket triage typically works, especially for tier 1 support teams. So you'll notice, because I specifically requested it did this in all of its answers, it is started with a step-by-step process. So this could be the step-by-step for anything you want to do. This could be the step-by-step for how to sign up a person for a new apartment. This could be the step-by-step process for how to build a RFP for a project that you're bidding on. So again, total customization here. Tells me here's how tickets are identified. Here's how they're logged. Here's how they're categorized. And you'll notice here, it's linking to these sources. It's linking to building a legendary service desk white paper, which if we go back to SharePoint is one of the documents I loaded. So now we're only using answers from trusted, verified sources. We can be confident in those answers. But again, if it's anything very critical, if it's something like, say, that engineering firm that's looking at this and it's building codes, you're still responsible, right? So people, and this has been legally determined in the last couple of years, corporations and people are responsible for the actions of their AIs. So that means if it's something critical that needs to be verified, you still need to go do that verification work, but this should save a huge amount of time. You know where to go, you know where to look. So I can go into any of these documents. I can get key points from them. I can ask for more details. It's going to give me more information from that document. I can also just click on that right there and it will take me to the document. So very easy to get those sources verified. Now, and it even gives me some tips, right? Because it's trying to help you. One of the things that we see with Copilot is it answers your question, but it wants to answer your thought process and lead you to the next follow-up item. So would you like a triage checklist? That sounds really cool. Let's do that. Show me a triage checklist for a tier 1 help desk employee. Now, one of the things that Copilot agents do is because they are tied into your organization's information, if you have your title on your contact card, it knows that. So it knows who the audience is, which is really interesting. As I've been working with this over the past couple months, when I'm asking answers, it will say, based on your role as a sales engineer, we think you should be looking at XYZ. So fill in that information. Again, we can help you if you haven't done that, but that will give you better answers. Now, this is pretty cool. I've got a tier 1 help desk triage checklist, and I can actually go through, I can copy this. I can paste that into my own Word document or OneNote if I want, and it will be all prepared for me. And you'll notice these are actually or when I paste them in, they will actually be working checkboxes. So if I paste them into OneNote, for example, and that's something that I can now work from. And again, we've got all of our verified sources backing up what we're doing. If I have a question, I can get that deeper knowledge. So very powerful thing just as an internal knowledge database and a knowledge of known verified information. And that's something that, again, you can kind of, as you see here, pretty easy to start playing with and get set up. Now, what if we want to go further? And that's where, at least what we're seeing so far, that's where the Advantage application development team and digital transformation team come in. So this is stuff that, as you can see, is pretty easy to set up. But what if I want to start adding actions or workflows into it? So let's see what that would be. I'm going to pull up a little video from Microsoft to show you what that looks like.
Hey, Russell. I don't think there's any sound.
Okay. All right. let me do this. I'm sorry about that, folks, a little technical glitch. Let me walk you through a couple things here and what he's talking about. So I will go ahead and fill that in. So we have built our Microsoft agent. We've configured who the agent is talking to. We built our knowledge sources, and you can see these up here at the top. He's got internal and external documents. Now what he's doing is starting to build workflows and automations. So he's connecting to other Microsoft tools, send an email, that's going to tie into 365, launch prompt, load SKU and component data from an external vendor or an external agent, and then he's setting up an action trigger. So he's going to build an agent here, and this is a good example of this, where based on emails sent to people in his company, the email will be processed, data extracted from it, sent, and then turned into a document and passed along to the correct people. And I'm going to hop ahead to see that a second. He's actually right now adding those flows. He wants to send this data to Planner so everybody knows what stage the project is at. And I'm going to hop ahead to the testing very briefly here. So he's going to actually, he set up this process here, test launch planner agent based on the last approval email received in my mailbox. What's happening here is he's configured the agent to look for emails with certain subjects and topics. Once they get that email, they're going to extract that data and create, in this case, a go-to-market strategy document for that particular business that they're working with. He then opens up Word, and it has created a template of that document based on templates that he provided to the agent and filled in the correct information for the account. This can be done with almost any business workflow you can think about. And we're going to be having more topics on this. But again, today was the hands-on interactive. This is the next step. This is once you've played around with things like a knowledge base, where do you go next? How do you build out the automation to save your people more time? And this type of process is where our teams come in, where your client success managers, where I come in, where Keith and Eric and Mike on our app dev team come in, is what we want to do is we want to build these tools around your organization's specific workflows and processes. So this example is from a particular organization. What we want you to do is identify invoices, for example. Do you get the same invoices in the same format from that vendor every week? Can we extract data from that invoice and enter it into a spreadsheet, fill it into a table? These are things that an agent can be trained to do. Read those mailboxes, pull that data out, create an Excel spreadsheet, and then notify 8 people that it was created. What we see if we want to look at that environment is Copilot Studio. And so this is the under the hood. If we're in the Copilot Builder in Microsoft 365, that's everything that you can do sitting behind the driver's seat of the car. Copilot Studio is, hey, now the mechanic is opening up the hood and really doing some of that powerful customization for you. And I want to show you a little bit that we've set up. My colleague Dave Fulford on our app dev team set up one as a expert property manager agent. So in this case, and I'm going to go look at how he's configured that. Dave's built out a ton of really good resources for property managers. So we've got the Prince George's County, Maryland government site with their regulations. We've got industry websites that our clients let us know were good data sets, good sources. We even have ourselves. We've built some of our own documents, things that we created in there, or we had an AI agent help us create in there that lets us know. And he's created a I'm an expert property management advisor, a virtual assistant. Just so you're aware, I sometimes use AI to answer your questions, where this is a client-facing one. We want people to know that. Uh, so we've got that, and you set up those data sources. Now we get to some interesting things, tools. So let's say that David, at this point, we had a request from our client here that said, oh, well, we want to, when we get inquiry emails from people about properties, right now they go to our property management software. We also want a copy to go to us. And we want, all of this data to be entered on a table so we can track how many inquiries we're getting. So that's where David can start adding tools and flows. So he can connect to other things in the Microsoft ecosystem and pull data directly from those sources. We can see that here under featured. We have third-party connectors as well to things like Salesforce available. And then if we go to flows, here's where David or Eric or our programming team would start building out that specific customization you wanted. When this happens, the document goes here. This document gets created. These tables are read, or this summary of data is sent to the following people. At the end of the month, this report is created and sent to people. And these are where we build these in flows. And again, it's going to tie into your Microsoft ecosystem. We can add things like triggers. So the example that we saw in that video from Microsoft would be, I get a connector from Outlook. And I pick that. And when a new email arrives, and here's where I'm going to sign into my Outlook, so it'll check that mailbox. And then I can start building out the email subject contains the following, or the sender is this. Again, any of those parameters I can play around with. This is where our team comes in, because you can get real detailed on this. And there are flows that can go wrong. And so that's where our expertise comes in as Microsoft folks, where we're going to make sure those flows are customized to the way you want it. You don't need to worry about this kind of stuff on the hood and these flow and activity diagrams. All you need to let us know, you know your organization better, you know your business better. All you need to let us know is, in plain words, what you're trying to do, whatever process or workflow you want to happen, and we can build that out for you. Again, this does require some licensing. We use that Copilot Studio pack in most cases, but this can be published to people in your organization that don't have a Copilot. They can now get access to this, and they will see it in Teams or on your SharePoint site, and really can be
Hey Russell, I don't know if you can hear me or if maybe if you're rebooting, but it froze up on the viewer's end. I don't know if you can put in the chat and throw a thumbs up if you can hear me. You're on mute, but I see you now, like you're moving.
Yeah, hey folks, believe it or not, Teams just crashed on me. So
Oh, oh
in
no.
mid-conversation. So lucky I'm back. That is pretty funny. As Microsoft giveth, Microsoft taketh away. So there we go. But we are back. And yes, these things happen even to us at Advantage. That was actually a pretty good segue, though. I think we're largely done with the demo. So at this point, I want to talk about sort of next steps, and then we'll open it up to conversation. So let me just bring this slide over. up for you. All right, so next steps. And here's what I kind of say today. I think I learned by doing. That's how I even got into IT in the first place. So I do want you to play around. If you have a paid Copilot license, you can do this right now. Open up your Copilot app, build an agent for yourself. Doesn't hurt, isn't going to affect anything. And start learning the capabilities of what it can do, interacting with it. We are obviously here for you too, so this is something you can reach out to your client success manager or our sales team for help with as well. Now, you want more capabilities. You've played around with it. You've seen what it can do, but now I want to actually start using it to produce work for me. That's where Copilot Studio comes in, and that's your cue to reach out to us. Because our job as the techies is to turn your plain English, I want this to do that, into these sophisticated workflows for you. And then our job is to make sure those workflows are functional, they're working, and they're not creating any additional noise for your team. And that's where we come in. So Copilot Studio lets you publish agents to specific people, specific teams, specific roles. And if you have one of those licensing packs, they start at $200 a month. You can use it for the entire organization. Copilot Studio includes both flows and triggers. Again, that's where you come talk to us. That's where the good stuff really starts happening, and we will see more of that in the future. And it can be set up as an interactive chatbot. So next step would be play around, and when you're ready to customize, talk to your client success manager, Phil, Deanna, Antoine, talk to me, or email us at sales@GetAdvantage, and we'll make sure it gets to the right role. Our job at that point will be to sit down and have a conversation with you. And again, you don't need to be techie. You just need to know how your people work and the processes that your business use. That's the information we need from you to implement these agents and flows. And we're looking at this as something that is part of our digital transformation, right? And so just talk with us and we'll let you know what that looks like. So that said, we got our contact number up here. Write it down, make a note of it, sales@getadvantage.com. You can also, if you're currently a client, email support@getadvantage.com. And now I'm going to open it up for questions. We got about just about 10 minutes or so here. So what do people have and what would you like to see?
So one question that we did have, is there a limit to the number of agents that can be added?
Not that we have run into yet. I think that that's probably more on a organizational and keeping stuff organized for people limit rather than a technical one. I'm sure there is nothing practical though. I would say one of the things I like about that publish feature is you don't want to overwhelm your staff with too many choices, right? So that publish feature lets you be targeted and focused. And that's one of the powers of the Copilot agent is it lets you be role and user focused. If you really just want a general AI assistant, at that point, we would probably recommend you get that person the $30 Copilot license.
I think as far as questions, that was it. So I know that for me as a non-technical person, that might have been a little bit too technical for some of you. So as we said, please reach out. If you have it, like any questions, either to your client success manager, if you already have one here at Advantage, or to Russell, myself, you can feel free to call our number and someone will get you to the right person.
Yep. I think we did have enough. Yeah, thank you,
Hand
Sonia.
raised.
I know we did geek out a little bit today too. But it is something that you directly have access to. So I'd like to show those things. But again, to Sonia's point, you do not have to geek speak. You don't have to know this stuff. You can reach out to us and we'll do the behind the scenes work. I think we had a hand.
We did have a hand raised.
Oh,
And thank
somebody
you.
appreciates the geeks.
Yeah, Michaela does. Yeah, she did appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Brenda, I don't know if you want to put it in chat or I can bring you on screen if you're comfortable. It's up to you. Just see the hand raise.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate the thank you. And again, any deeper discussion you want to have, we're available.
Yes, and I'll send out
Right
an
now.
email probably by the end of the day or tomorrow morning with all of our contact information, a recording of the video,
Yeah.
so that you have it to reference back. So just be on the lookout for that.
Yep. Again, this will be on YouTube again on our YouTube channel, so feel free to pass along to colleagues or other folks and share out.
Okay, now we do have one more question.
Sure.
With a paid Copilot license, do you also get access to Copilot Studio?
You do. You do. Good question. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't need to use that like per usage bucket when I'm working with the agent. It just takes it out of my $30 license, basically.
Right.
All right, folks, and yeah, we will see you next month. Sonia will be sending out the date for that very shortly, but
Yep.
should be early November again, well before the holidays. So
All
looking
right. Thank
forward
you,
to it.
Russell. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
folks.
Hope you have a great rest of
Yeah.
the day.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.